Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where it's bad. It's real bad. Summer hasn't had this bad a start in almost 20 years, since 2005, all right? And it seems that the Fall Guy is taking the fall for last year's strikes. But it's not like the Fall Guy hasn't made plenty of other mistakes. But there's a couple of them which we're going to go over. But the first problem is, it has no business being here. Let's be honest. The Fall Guy is not the type of movie to kick off the summer movie season. You could see it, I could see it, everyone could see it. But the problem is that Universal was looking through Ken-colored glasses. Because what happened was that Disney had to move Deadpool and Wolverine due to the strikes. And shockingly, also due to the strikes, Disney had nothing else to instantly swap back in. So the date was just sitting there. And Universal said, we got Ken. We have Ken. Let's give him the summer crown. But Ryan Gosling is not Ken, as we now know for sure. We weren't sure. We were all maybe he's turned into Ken full time. He has not. But also director David Leitch. These guys aren't box office kings. The crown is too heavy for their heads. In fact, The Fall Guy opened right in line with Blade Runner 2039 and Bullet Train from Gosling and Leitch respectively. Now, that was disappointing for Blade Runner 2049. It shouldn't have been, because the first Blade Runner was not particularly well received when it first came out. But, it should have done better, right? Because, we all knew Ryan Gosling didn't sell a lot of tickets before then. But because that's interesting. Because it was Blade Runner and Harrison Ford was back, right? It did get up a little higher than his usual 11 million, right? I always tell you, most Ryan Gosling movies open at around 11 million. And here, though, it seems like Ryan Gosling was able to push it to 30. It didn't get to 30. If only it had been at 30. But he pushed it to 28. So he's gotten above 11, but he's still not the kind of actor that can open the summer movie season. But with Bullet Train, that was good enough. It was good enough, particularly because that was made for Sony. That light action comedy from David Leitch was made for just 90 million. Oh, if only the Fall Guy had that kind of budget. Bullet Train eventually pulled into the station of 100 million domestic, a scooch higher. And so did The Lost City, by the way, another light action comedy from Sandy Bullock, who's one heck of a producer because she made her movie for just 70 million. Wow, Sandy, you're so good. And Universal is Sandy. All right, and we should call her Sandy. I like that. She has her friends call her Sandy, but I like it. All right, and Universal is confident, though, that with the strong audience scores that The Fall Guy has, that the ladies will keep showing up for The Fall Guy, because that's who liked it the most, older female moviegoers, and The Fall Guy will become counter-programming. They're like, it's not doing so well now. But when, all these male-centric movies come out for the rest of May and in June, right, the ladies will go and see The Fall Guy, right? Or maybe they'll click on it on digital and down the line, right? But then, you know what? Here comes reality. I think there's a chance that this just isn't a movie with broad appeal. Plus, as I said, plenty of mistakes were made releasing the film. So let's discuss. And as always, I look forward to hearing your own postmortem down below. All right, so as for the film package itself, as I've also been telling you for a very long time, right? I don't know why Hollywood doesn't learn these lessons. They're right there on paper. All right, so general audiences just aren't interested in taking a peek behind the Hollywood curtain. They do not care. Time and time again, actually, in fact, they don't not only not care, they actively don't want to know. Because time and time again, really good movies and shows about Hollywood, they might endear the industry, the media, and cinephiles, but they're never big hits. Don't make a show or movie about Hollywood and spend a lot of money on it, because it's not going to make a lot of money. Even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood didn't open much bigger. Although, again, The Fall Guy would kill to open with 41 million. And that would have been nice. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood only got to 377 million worldwide. That's great for Tarantino. But, not every named talent is really famous because they make money, right? And also, Tarantino knew to keep his budget down. He also made his movie for under 100 million. Then there's Ryan Gosling, who's undoubtedly talented and charming. Love the guy. But he just doesn't sell tickets. I love you, Ryan, but get away from my blockbuster. He produced the show himself. Thankfully, he worked as Ken. And there was so much more going on with that film in terms of appeal. He was part of a large, potpourri. Now, Emily Blunt, also talented and charming. She did not work, by the way, as Mary Poppins, right? And she also clearly didn't click here. I don't think she hurt the film, but I don't think she excited anybody about it either. She's had some big hits, right? She can succeed in a blockbuster, but a woman's role in a blockbuster is very different, Hollywood, than so often the male role. So I think she won't be hurt so much by this. This really wasn't her movie. I mean, it won't do her any favors. Maybe somebody is saying, maybe I should put Emily Blunt in my movie. Might see this opening weekend and be like, who else is on the list? And then also, who is she going to be starring opposite? Because then maybe it just doesn't matter. And again, she's likable and charming. Also, maybe Winston Duke's role should have been bigger. As you can see, the diversity demos for this movie, they're not very well spread out. A blockbuster movie that needs to open big should really have a Caucasian audience somewhere in the 40th percentile. Now, I know that so many of you like to claim that, shouldn't the diversity demos match the diversity demos of the United States? No, because not everybody in the United States sees movies in theaters. Audiences of color actually go to the movies more in terms of the percentage that goes to the movie versus the size of the overall group. So getting appeal with audiences of color is very important. And if your movie has the Caucasian audience out above the 40s, that means you did not appeal to audiences of color. So, and again, if your movie is a big budget movie and it's a big blockbuster that's kicking off the summer movie season, you need to appeal to everybody. Now, I'm sure some of you right now are screaming at your computer or device that how can The Fall Guy possibly look bad with great audience scores and an opening on par with other films that are considered hits or at least okay? All right, so as I said, the budget. Apparently, all those stunts were expensive because you know how much this movie cost? It cost $130 million. That's nuts. And that it's rumored to actually even be a little bit higher. And then, speaking of rumors, Tinseltown is whispering that when you factor in the ad campaign, this cost $230 million overall for Universal. $50 million more than it should have. Ugh, why do you do it? This is similar to the problem with Challengers, a movie that also has a budget that's way too big for what it is, making its otherwise solid numbers look bad. And then the release date. As I said, kicking off the summer movie season isn't just an honor, it's a responsibility, damn it. I mean, you're the one that's supposed to set the tone for the entire summer. Do you feel excited for the summer now? Instead, everybody's running around in circles holding their head. I mean, you got to make the industry look good. You got to make the media happy and audiences, right? I mean, are you feeling, as I said, confident in summer 2024 right now? Do you feel it's even started? As I said, a summer movie hasn't opened this low outside of the pandemic since 2005. 2005. And the expectations for The Fall Guy were already super low, yet it couldn't even meet those low expectations. As I said, it would have been great if it had, I mean, they were like, maybe it'll have a 4 in front of it. It didn't even get a 3 in front of it. Oh my God. The Fall Guy has made all of Hollywood look bad. And, nobody likes a party pooper. By the way, do you see how much comic book movies have changed the game? Isn't that interesting? Also, you can see which non-comic book movies were still able to compete in that space, which gives you an idea of the type of movie that's still theater-worthy, right? That can really move the needle if it's not a comic book film. So, very interesting list. All right, now let's talk about how Hollywood has also, yet again, previewed a movie way too early. They followed the Flash playbook. Who would follow the Flash playbook? So they premiered this movie at South by Southwest back in March. Remember when everybody was talking about Civil War? They were also talking about The Fall Guy. It was right after the Oscars, ridiculously early. Then they had a couple of industry, media, and fan screenings before showing the film yet again at CinemaCon, just like they did The Flash. Whoa, maybe don't show your movie at CinemaCon. I'd be like, I love you, CinemaCon, but are you a jinx? It's not really a jinx. Don't show your film to a gabillion people months before it opens so that by the time it finally does open, everyone goes, that didn't open yet? I've already waited this long. I might as well wait a little longer for digital. Or maybe even streaming. Now look, everyone associated with this movie will be fine. Don't cry for it. I mean, you're like, don't worry, Grace, I wasn't gonna. But I mean, if you do feel a little bad for them, don't feel too much. Don't feel too bad because they're just gonna go back to the careers they had before, plus be a little richer. So there's nothing to feel bad for them about. Gosling and Leach saw an opportunity to level up their careers. They went for it. Good for them. And it didn't work out. This stunt didn't work. The only real potential casualty here is, and this makes me a little sad, is the Ken Solo movie. Oh, clearly Ken is a supporting character. Oh, we tested it, and Warner Brothers didn't even have to test it themselves. Thanks, Universal. And when it comes to big blockbusters, maybe Gosling isn't a lead either. Maybe in the future, if he wants to be in these big movies, he should be supporting. I would consider that. I mean, look how he stole the show in Barbie. Supporting's a nice place to live. If you do really well, you steal the movie, and if the movie doesn't do well, nobody blames you. It's a beautiful little space to hide out in. But this box office stink is going to take a little bit of time to wash off. Make no mistake. Thankfully, Ryan Gosling has those strong audience scores to hold on to. Oh, but I got an A-. But I got an A-. All right, I applaud Gosling, by the way. This was a headline that, by the way, there was a little bit of talk over the weekend with Jerry Seinfeld doing a bit about doing too much press, and he called out Ryan Gosling, okay? And it made me chuckle because it was true for both of them. But in the case of Ryan Gosling, it's this new thing called echo publicity, where Ryan Gosling does one interview and every other single outlet picks it up and regurgitates it. So like you'll see this, I saw the same headline about him only wanting to make happy light movies for the sake of his family, all the way down my feed from a bunch of different outlets, but he only said it to one outlet. So this is a fascinating new development. But I would also say, on top of all that, something for people to consider while doing press going forward, Jerry Seinfeld. There ain't no defending what he did to himself. But anyway, since Ryan Gosling now only has one mode as an actor, happy, light, and fun, and no longer switches it up with different types of projects, he needs to be even more careful about being overexposed. I feel I've seen a little bit too much Ryan Gosling, and I love seeing Ryan Gosling. The only project he has lined up right now is a space comedy with Lord and Miller. Before I would think it sounded great, but now it makes me feel a little nauseous. For Amazon and MGM, with Amy Pascal producing, by the way. Get back in there, Amy. That Amy, she's everywhere. I love it for her. That's set for March 2026. Gosling also, of course, just signed a 3-year producing first look deal, also with Amazon MGM. He's in the Amazon MGM business, baby. They're the ones, and so is Amy Pascal, behind challengers. Keep those budgets down, everybody. Put it on a pillow and put it in your office. But I think put it on a post-it on your freaking forehead. Tattoo it on yourself if you need to. All right. But I think Gosling should follow Margot Robbie's lead and take a self-imposed time out to give audiences time to miss them. That's very smart on Margot. Margot Robbie, I don't know. I'm a little worried about some of her choices that she has for upcoming movies, but overall, Margot Robbie has become like a super smart producer. So take a break. He can produce, but maybe we shouldn't see him on the big screen until 2026 with that space comedy. Maybe he could be back on SNL. He wants to stay a little bit on the audience radar, right? Maybe do a streaming show, guest spots and cameos in other people's projects, right? What career advice would you give Ryan Gosling right now to, keep himself alive until this 2026 movie? As for the rest of the top 10, here's another fascinating wrinkle. The Force and the Fourth were both with Star Wars this weekend, as the re-release of The Phantom Menace of all movies managed to open not just at number 2, but a respectable number 2, especially for a movie that not only came out 25 years ago, but everybody laughed at. This is amazing. Re-releasing a Star Wars movie for May the 4th was a great idea. I'm sure they've done it before, but it fell right beautifully smack in the middle of a weekend, and there was really nothing else playing. Sorry, Fall Guy. So it was a much-needed win for the Star Wars brand. Disney and Lucasfilm took advantage of this opportunity to attach an extended preview of their upcoming The Acolyte Disney Plus series to the re-release, and that show needs all the help it can get as it's competing with House of the Dragon Season 2 and The Boys Season 4, all airing in June. That's nuts. The Acolyte really should have moved to, I think, July or August. I think that's, it's going to be fun for us, but it's nuts. Not all of those shows can get the attention they're going to need. This is also proof, though, by the way, that Dave Filoni has really reshaped the Star Wars fandom 25 years later. While the prequels were originally, as I said, ridiculed, so much so that George Lucas was bullied out of the film business, he sold to Disney as a result, which now, some Star Wars fans, let's just leave that for what it is. Just mull that over. But Filoni has totally rehabilitated the prequel's image thanks to his animated shows and now his live action shows, which spin out of the animated shows. Although people still aren't watching the animated shows, which is a damn shame. The Bad Batch was freaking beautiful, man. All right, well, it will be interesting to see how Filoni does as he moves into the movie space, right? He's going to be a producer on the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And then, of course, he's directing and writing his own Star Wars movie. Oh, I hope that's good. I hope it's good. I mean, some of his Star Wars shows have been a little bit viewer challenged, but it's going to be real interesting. He's definitely changed the fandom, though. And so and Star Wars, Lucasfilm, to their credit, has recognized that, giving him an advisory role. What the heck is that? It means he's advising, but he's, for the most part, he doesn't want to sit behind a desk. Filoni wants to be behind the camera. All right, as for challengers, it managed to fall just under 50% in its second weekend. That 4 sure looks good in front of it, right? But still, that $55 million budget is really weighing it down. Like Civil War, the legacy of both films will rely heavily on if they're remembered in the upcoming awards season. Speaking of Civil War, it's now past 60 million domestic. I still don't think it's going to unseat Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is like at 77 or something. But it could get to 100 million global by the end of its run. Not great for its budget either, but very good for A24. Like A24 is it's like almost more money than we've ever made. Tear It also opened this weekend, and despite horrible reviews and audience scores, still managed to place 4th. Not only showcasing how weak the box office is right now, but how strong the horror genre is. No matter what kind of horror movie you make, there's a group that's interested. Godzilla x Kong. Some of you are like, give Godzilla x Kong its flowers. Here you go. Here comes a bouquet. It's holding on mid-top 10. 6 weeks out. 6 weeks out, it's still in the middle of the top 10. That's amazing. With 546 worldwide. And it's still going. As I said, it's in the middle of the top 10. It's got a very good shot at becoming the most successful MonsterVerse movie ever. Warner Brothers and Legendary certainly want Adam Wingard now to finish his trilogy. He was like, I hope I can. They're like, you can, right? Let's go. And he wants to, and I'm sure he will. But first, he's going to go back to horror with A24. Oh, look how cyclical the business is. We were just talking about A24. We were just talking about horror. And now here comes Adam Wingard going back to both. On the one hand, he could reinforce his artistic credibility, which he could use. I got to tell you, Godzilla x Kong made a lot of money and it was a fun movie. But whoo, that, it was a real connect the dots type of movie. Not easy to connect the dots, mind you. Not easy. So I think I can see why Adam Wingard wants to go back and be like, I'm still an artiste. But he better still be an artiste. If he does another Death Note, I thought Death Note was good, but I didn't read the manga. If he does another Death Note, though, they're going to be like, why? You were so perfectly poised to do the next Godzilla Kong. Why? All right, so anyway. Meanwhile, although he did the first Godzilla versus Kong after Death Note and everybody still went, so I guess maybe he's Teflon in that regard. Meanwhile, Abigail is almost out of the top 10 already, but Ministry, it is out. Thank goodness both of them are about to just hit digital. They're ready. They're ready. Stick a fork in them. Or stick a remote in them. That can be our new term. Instead of stick a fork in them, they're done. Stick a remote in them, they're ready for digital. I like that. Over on streaming, starting with Nielsen for the first week of April, so far behind, Wish finally found an audience on Disney Plus with a strong debut. It's over 1,000 on this chart. And Family Guy wasn't a fluke, because last week's chart was when Disney Plus and Hulu merged and Family Guy popped up here. But look, it's still here. It ain't a fluke. People are watching Family Guy. But where are the original shows? It's movies and acquired shows. There's only 2 on here. 3 Body Problem, still no second season 2 announcement. Netflix is like, we just really don't want to do it. And Files of the Unexplained, which I've never even heard of, but apparently people are watching. On the actual originals chart, there are originals here. It's nothing but originals. It's a relief to see Ripley so high. But then, is it cake right above it? Hollywood is a tough, hilarious business. I love it. All right. Plus, still none of the animated shows are registering here. Not even Invincible Season 2 Part 2. This was the week of its finale, so it didn't get a binge bump. No binge bump for you. And at this point, I don't think Shogun's ever going to make it onto the overall chart. But hey, it's still a huge hit for Hulu and now Disney Plus. When are they going to start saying this is Hulu and Disney Plus on the Nielsen charts? I wonder why they haven't done it yet. And like Challengers in Civil War, a lot will depend on how Shogun is remembered by how it does during award season. But you'll still definitely see everyone from Shogun in front of and behind the camera again. They might do some sort of season 2. They're now talking about it. The show's done so well, has so much heat. They're like, maybe we'll think of something. Or you'll still see them on, spread out on other new shows. I mean, that's a hot roster of talent. Everybody in Hollywood, well, they're going to wait to see if they do some sort of season 2. But I'm sure they're also going over the cast list with a fine-tooth comb, being like, can we use anybody? Also, and then also here's the movies chart. Not anything exciting happening here. Things drop off super quickly after Wish. Although Roadhouse is still pretty strong in its second full week. There was the weekend where it debuts at the very end of the window. And then this is its second full week of charts. Over on Netflix's charts for just last week, they're very fast at releasing their own numbers. Rebel Moon, you should cry for Rebel Moon, because Rebel Moon managed to hold on to the number 1 spot, but it dropped in its first full week. Last week was only for a handful of days. This is for the full 7 days. And for part 1, that went up by 10 million views for its first full week. But yet again, part 2 has gone down. Zack Snyder already has an animated series coming up for Netflix, so that's good. But it doesn't look like Rebel Moon is going to become a franchise for the streamer. And Anyone But You mania continues to spread. Remember, Sony and Netflix have that deal because Sony doesn't have their own streaming service, although they might be about to buy Paramount Plus. Maybe that's one of the reasons they want it. But anyway, right now, their movies go to Netflix when they go to streaming, to a streaming service. And here's Anyone But You at number 2. With shows, though, Baby Reindeer, not only does it continue to go up, but it almost doubled its views in its second full week on Netflix. Again, there was the little week at the weekend, just a couple of days, then a full week on the chart, full week on the chart. Doubled. That's incredible. That just shows really strong. That's all entirely done by word of mouth. Netflix likes all of its stuff to be advertised by word of mouth. Why not? It's free. But it doesn't always happen. But when it does, as you can see, it's magic. It obliterated all the other shows on this chart. Dead Boy Detectives, this is, again, just a couple of days. It just debuted on the Thursday. But this is a really low number. Usually for a show, when it has, even if it's still just the weekend, it's like 10 or above. This is 3? Wow. Everyone in the service is watching Baby Reindeer. On iTunes, Dune Part 2 is still on top, while Nicolas Cage continues to do well with small, quirky films. And Madam Web, now available for just $6, popped back up onto the chart. Although a lot of you I know are waiting for the free price point. Has it? Oh yeah, it's a Sony movie, so it will go to Netflix. That'll be real interesting. All right, and wow, Aaron Eckhart is becoming the king of direct-to-digital movies. Isn't he a little early in his career for that? I think he's like 10 to 15 years too early. What's happening here, buddy? It's like, that's usually retirement for a lot of action stars. Monkey Man and Arthur and the King are still in the top 10, but so is The Beekeeper. Wow, legend status at this point. Legend. No wonder Jason Statham and David Ayer. Just goes to show you, never give up. No wonder they got another deal off of The Beekeeper. As for this coming weekend, Hollywood is hoping that the new Planet of the Apes might jumpstart the summer movie season a week late. This will be the start of the summer movie season, right? The review embargo lifts Wednesday, late morning. I have not seen it yet because most screenings, the premiere was last week. Very cool premiere, but screenings are this coming week for the rest of the press. Chris Pine also has his very poorly reviewed festival film coming out in limited release. But you know what? What does it matter? Pine clearly made this movie for himself, and good for him. But after this, hopefully, he gets back to work. Big week for digital movies, though, so that's going to hurt all these films because hot movies on digital, wherever you want to watch them. Abigail hits Tuesday, and also Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I can finally see it. What should I make for dinner? Oh, I'm excited. That's going to be great. While on Friday, Ungentlemanly Warfare drops. That's aggressive. Not on Tuesday, on Friday for the weekend. With streaming films, Wednesday is yet another big day for Beatles fans on Disney+, as this time they have a remastered version of one of their movies, Let It Be. And then on Thursday, Netflix has their Brooke Shields and Miranda Cosgrove movie, Mother of the Bride. See, that's a summer-type streaming movie, yet it does not feel like summer. All thanks, or unfortunately, due to the Fall Guy. See how important that first movie is? Finally, with series, tonight, Netflix continues to experiment with live programming. They're getting more and more aggressive. They had Cat Williams last night. They had John Mulaney on Friday, and then all through this week. It's, of course, all spinning out of that Chris Rock live special. But tonight, it's the roast of Tom Brady. Oh, they came to play with this one. This could be big. Hosted by Kevin Hart. And of course, Jeff Ross is the roast master. I wonder, a lot of people I think would like to roast Tom Brady. I wonder if you can tweet in roasts since it's live. That would be a great contingent. Apple TV is busy on Wednesday with both Dark Matter, where Joel Edgerton leads up an actually pretty strong cast, and then there's docuseries Hollywood Con Queen, based on a fascinating true scandal. But again, I told you, people don't seem to care about what happens in Hollywood. Third, although people do love docuseries and crime stuff, true crime, so, we'll see. We'll see how strong the disinterest is. Thursday, Hulu has the history of Black Twitter, and Max has a Pretty Little Liars spinoff. While on Friday, Netflix brings back Blood of Zeus with season 2. I have an interview with the creators and cast up right now on the channel. And then the Chi, season 6, starts on Paramount Plus, and Doctor Who is back, the new Doctor, now on Disney Plus. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And again, what do you think of the shape of the summer now that the Fall Guy has gotten it off to a little bit of a rough start? Again, do you see the importance of it? And what do you think could maybe save it? Because Deadpool and Wolverine ain't coming till late July. The same weekend as Comic-Con. Why? All right, share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.